joining us here today. We'll start with an opening statement, Coach, and then we will take questions.
Yeah, well, this was my first time here, so, man, I was really looking forward to this. I'm a lover of the game and grown up with the game, as many of you guys know, and I've been really fortunate to, in my career, being in college basketball for almost 30 years, I've pretty much been everywhere. And this is one place I hadn't been, so I was really appreciative of TJ and his program for giving us the chance to come in here and play in Hilton and experience. It's great for our team. You know, this is we've kind of had a running little series with these guys that many of you guys have known. We've done closed door here for the last couple, and we do that by design. I mean, I love what TJ's doing with his program, how hard they play, discipline, tough, you know, attention to detail. And so these opportunities before you start the season are so invaluable. And it was great for our team. You know, we have 8 new players. It was unfortunate. Literally last weekend, you know, you're getting in, both my point guards went down, and TJ's got the same thing with Lipsy being out. So you got to kind of go by on the fly. And this week we kind of had to rearrange how we were doing rotations and things. But that's good. That's what the season is like, right? You're going to have injuries. You're going to have guys. I thought for the most part we played really well. You know, way too many turnovers. You know, 17 turnovers. Is too much, and that's really not who we've been. It's a credit to Iowa State's defense. I thought we got the ball into some really tough spots. You know, and Nick and AP, our big guy, had 10 turnovers combined, you know, which is just way too much. But that being said, I thought a lot of guys, you know, did a lot of good things. Trey Singleton in his first college game, I think you're seeing the kind of impact he can have with his versatility. Arrington Page, you know, you see his ability to be an athlete and his skill level around the basket and his shot blocking. Angelo Cheravino's made a big jump. You know, Jordan Clayton, super solid. So this was a great scrimmage for us. I thought we got it there to 4 points, and it was really good for both teams. You know, we made a little run and put some game pressure on them, and I thought they responded well. You know, Heisey gets 5 straight points, you know, right after the timeout. So great learning experience a week before the season. You know, they're going to expose you for the things you're good at and bad at, and we got work to do before we get to next Monday.
Matt? Coach mentioned that the 2 point guards are out, you know, with Jaden and Jake out, and then also looked like Arrington might have rolled his ankle there. Can you kind of give updates on each of those 3 guys?
Yeah, you know, hopefully they won't be long-term things. I think you saw Jaden Reed was warming up, so he's close. You know, and honestly, if it was a regular season game, we might have thrown him out there, but let's just give him a couple more days. You know, I'm hopeful. You know, we'll be back at practice tomorrow. I'm hopeful that he'll be able to play a little bit against Illinois State on Wednesday. Jake will be a little bit longer. You know, I think his timetable is a little bit back, but hopefully not too long. And you know, we'll find out more about AP. I think he rolled his ankle there a little bit at the end, but I think it more just kind of, you know, hurt initially, and hopefully it's not going to be anything that's going to have him miss too much time.
Coach Collins, I was wondering what your impression was of Iowa State freshman Kilian Toure. Obviously, he's getting most of Lipsy's minutes as Lipsy heals up, but 11, 5, and 5, disruptive defense. How would you describe him as a freshman?
It's almost like when I saw him a little bit in high school, and then when you when watching him play in their game against Creighton, and then today, it's like he was almost born to play here. You know, he's like TJ's favorite kind of guy. You know, he's been those guys that just are tough as nails, man. Those guards that can get downhill, and he's going to be even better when Lipsy gets back. I mean, it's good. This has been great experience for him. And I told our staff that. I said, man, when you put him and Lipsy out there together in the backcourt, it's as good as their defense is now. It's going to really, and it's going to help him to be kind of a secondary driver and attacker, and with what Nelson's doing. But I'm a fan, and he fits. I mean, I think that's why TJ has been so successful here. And what we've tried to do as well is like not just grab talent, is find the guys that fit what we do. And I think he's a perfect fit for Iowa State.
So Coach Collins, Angelo, you mentioned him in your opener, and today he made 2 threes. Actually, no, sorry, yeah, 2 threes, and last season shot under 30% from 3. Also played 28 minutes after not playing much down the stretch. What can you talk about to his improvement and what you've seen him, how he's grown with the team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Angelo that I've seen is just his he's really gotten in the weight room. You know, I think that he's such a great athlete, and you saw how disruptive he was, right? He had a block shot. He's such a terrific athlete. But last year, because he wasn't as strong physically, his athleticism kind of got swallowed up, right? Anytime there was a point of contact, he lost those battles. And I give him a lot of credit. He's about 15 pounds heavier in muscle from last year. And so now his athleticism, he's playing through contact. And he's a key piece for us. Like, I love his ability to defend, his slashing, his cutting. I think when he's wide open, like he did, those corner open threes. But we need that wing athleticism. I mean, whether he starts or comes off the bench, like whatever we did today, that's not set in stone. We're trying to find out about our team. But, I was really pleased. The two guys, in my opinion, that have had the best preseason were Jordan Clayton and Angelo. And that's why I rewarded those guys with a start today, because to me, they've been just really solid in what we want their roles to be.
Time for a few more questions. Matt?
Obviously it's an exhibition game, but both you and Iowa State played most of your star players around 30 minutes. What are the takeaways from an exhibition like this? What are you looking for?
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of looking, like, at times you saw me try different things, even though our main guys played. Like, we tried lineups with different combinations together. Played Nick and Trey, as forwards. We played them a little bit at 4-5 and went a little bit smaller. You have Angelo. Max Green is a guy I think is really going to be a big piece for us. I mean, he did a great job, and he had a couple in and outers. I mean, he was close to having a 16-point night. If a couple of those threes go in. So, I'm just trying to find kind of how the pieces fit. That's why I was disappointing not having the 2 point guards today. It's part of life, and you figure it out. But it was an opportunity to kind of integrate them as well. And when you have such a new team, we have our first game in 7 days. So even though we want to play a lot of guys, and I got everybody in the first half, and like I told our guys in the locker room, I don't know coming into the game. I know Nick's going to be out there a lot, and I know Trey's probably going to be out there a lot. But those other guys, like, it depends who's playing well. And Max ended up coming in and playing really well, so he played 25 minutes, right? So it could be KJ one night, it could be Justin, it could be Angelo, like it was tonight. We'll have Jake and Jaden back. So I'm just trying to figure out more about my team. But here's the thing, and this, you got to be ready to go next Monday. Like, you got to be, like, while you're figuring out your team, you got to win games. Like, there are no do-overs. So you're playing around with lineups and all this, and all of a sudden you stub your toe and you lose a couple games. Now you're up against it. So, there is urgency, and you want also conditioning-wise. Nick is going to play. Like, I like him being at 32, 33. He was 36, 37 last year. I like him at that, can we get him 4 minutes a half and be in that 32 range? So you want him to play a little bit too, because you got to build your conditioning to get ready for the games.
Time for 2 more questions. Back.
Coach, obviously last year, exhibition matchup against Lewis, a D2 team, and this year, obviously the first time y'all have played exhibition matchups against D1 teams. How much of a difference does it make in the preseason to play that level of competition, and is there anything that you treat differently?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. There was value. We used to be able to do the closed doors, and those are great too. We had some really good sessions with Iowa State the last 3-4 years where you can do different things, right? You can play a half, you can play last 2 minutes, you can play around with some pressing and use it like a glorified practice. But I also think there's great value in playing in front of people and playing with just a dress rehearsal for a game, how you do timeouts, how you do a halftime, getting in the mode of how we're going to do things. And so I love it. I think it's great. You're seeing some great matchups too. It's really, but take it for a grain of salt. We're still in October. So we hopefully are going to be a much better basketball team tomorrow than we were today, let alone in a month. So these are great. And I think sometimes the D2s and D3s are awesome, and there's some really good programs, but you can get away with some stuff because of physicality, where some loose habits, some missed switches on defense, you can cover up mistakes. Against these guys, you can't. When we made mistakes, they made us pay. They hit a three, we turned it over, and those are the experiences that we need going forward, which is great. And we'll have another one on Wednesday night.
Last question.
Yeah, so last season, 3 of your primary ball handlers in Ty Berry, Jalen Leach, and Brooks Barnhizer are now not on the team anymore. And today, without your 2 point guards, you had a lot of Clayton, Martinelli, and Singleton bringing it up. What can you say about how you have more versatility maybe in bringing the ball up the court, which I know that last season a lot of press was running against you guys. So.
I feel really good about our ball handling. I mean, our 2 best ball handlers didn't even play. And really, most of our turnovers today were in the half court. you know, they weren't full court turnovers where we spent maybe a couple, but most of our turnovers were against their traps. You know, Nick got trapped a bunch of times in the corners and got in bad spots. And, you know, I think once you add Jake and Jaden, you know, feel good about what Jordan can do as a secondary ball handler, feel good about KJ Wyndham being able to do that. And then Trey, you know, his versatility is going to be a really big, important component with his size. Now, all of a sudden, if you're getting pressed like crazy, not many teams have a guy that can come up and take him, and it doesn't wear Nick out. You know, last year we had to put Nick in that, so now he's bringing the ball. We weren't doing that. We were having Trey, so now Nick is a little bit fresher when you get into the half court. So I think we've tried to address our playmaking and our skills. I think Arrington, as a big guy, I think you saw, you know, his ability to put it on the floor and make some plays. And, you know, he had a few even Tyler Kropp. You know, those guys can play off double teams and do some things. So I think we have a chance to be good. We just got to tighten everything up and be a little bit better on Wednesday night.
All right, gotta wrap us
Thank
up.
you, guys. Have a great year.